Welcome back, focused learners, to another explainer. Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we're zeroing in on a highly concentrated, single-sentence piece of geopolitical news. You know, sometimes the absolutely most massive announcements come in the tiniest of packages. And that is exactly what we're looking at right now. We're going to treat this one sentence like a masterclass in information density, stripping down its grammar and flow just to see what's actually being communicated in this tiny little package. So here is the exact text we are examining today. President Donald Trump says the Board of Peace has reached an agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and other armed groups in Gaza. And that's it. That is the entire source material. In this explainer, we're doing a total micro breakdown of these exact words. We're not injecting outside context, we're not making external assumptions, and we are definitely not bringing in outside history. We're just looking at the pure, raw data provided right here to see how the mechanics of this specific announcement actually work. Moving right along to Section 1, the Accord announcement. First up, we really need to ask, who is acting here? And this brilliantly illustrates a really specific structural division in our text. Check out the distinction. On one side, you've got the announcer, President Donald Trump. He's the one physically conveying the message to the public. But then on the other side, you have the actor, the Board of Peace. The text draws a super clear, totally neutral distinction between the two. It doesn't actually say the announcer negotiated the deal, right? It specifically attributes the action of formulating the agreement to the Board of Peace. Grasping this separation of roles, like the messenger versus the actual negotiating body, is absolutely crucial to accurately parsing the data we've been given. Now, the core piece of this whole puzzle is this specific verb phrase, reached an agreement. We need to focus strictly on this action. Notice how the text doesn't say they're, working on an agreement, or hoping for one, or even just proposing one. It definitively states this as a completely finished action. So for the purposes of our parsing today, we are treating reached an agreement as a hard, factual data point. The negotiation phase, at least according to the structure of this one sentence, is entirely concluded. Done deal. Okay, on to Section 2, targeted armed groups. Now that we have our actors locked down, who is actually impacted by this? Let's move to and see how this builds on those exact subjects named in the text. The statement explicitly names two distinct targets. First, Hamas is specifically singled out by name. But then, look at this incredibly wide net they cast for other armed groups in Gaza. The text doesn't name these other groups individually, but structurally, it binds literally any other armed entity operating within Gaza into the framework of this agreement. It's kind of fascinating. It's a very precise naming paired with a massive, comprehensive catch-all phrase. That brings us to Section 3, the ultimate goal. What is the actual stated outcome of this whole agreement? So the crucial point is this explicit condition right here, complete disarmament. Exactly as it's written in the source material, this is the definitive, absolute, non-negotiable end state agreed upon by the Board of Peace for Hamas and all those other armed groups in Gaza. The text does not say partial disarmament. It doesn't say a ceasefire or a temporary reduction in arms. It explicitly says complete, no wiggle room there at all. Let's pull back for a second and look at the whole architecture of the sentence we've just unpacked. Here's the logical flow, mapped out sequentially for us. Step 1. We have the announcement by President Donald Trump. He initiates the flow of information. Step 2, we have the core action, an agreement reached by the Board of Peace. And finally, Step 3, the targeted outcome, the complete disarmament of armed groups in Gaza. It is crazy how a single short sentence can operate as a totally self-contained narrative, right? You've got an initiator, a mechanism, and a final objective, all right there in just a few words. And that brings us to our final takeaway, and honestly, a pretty crucial question for you. Based strictly on the text we just parsed, how will complete disarmament actually manifest? The source sentence tells us exactly what's been agreed upon, sure, but it contains absolutely zero operational details on how it's going to be achieved. I mean, there are no timelines, no enforcement mechanisms, no logistical steps provided in these words at all. It really leaves us to ponder the sheer reality of what this exact wording, complete disarmament, means when translated from a simple piece of text to the actual ground in Gaza. Thanks for joining me for this structural breakdown. And hey, keep asking those sharp questions about the information you consume.